What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Monday, January 27th, 2025 edition of the Daily Energy News Beat. Stand up. Here are today's top headlines. First up, Trump reignites coal industry at Davos. Make coal great again. Gotta love it. He had a lot of good stuff that he was saying at Davos. I've been following that all week. Next up, we'll fly over to New York. Albany's new fossil fuel super fund could hit consumers hard. I'm always skeptical of New York and fossil fuels, so we'll see what happens there. And then right, Stu, in your backyard, Stargate's first data center is underway in Texas. Public filings show how much it will cost to build. Newsflash, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of money. And then finally, Trump freezes Department of Energy's $50 billion budget. Stu will then toss it over to me. I will quickly cover what happened with oil and gas finances on Friday. We saw a delayed EIA crude oil inventory report. We did see rig counts drop a little bit. And then finally, speaking of Stargate, Stu, nuclear stocks soared on that infrastructure announcement. So we will cover all that and a bag of chips, guys. As always, I'm Michael Tanner, joined by Stuart Turley. Where do you want to begin?
Hey, let's start with my buddy, President Trump. President Trump reignites coal industry at Davos. I think he lit a fuse under the world elite and said, we don't need you anymore.
He really was wagging his finger. I mean, the whole speech, and then Javier Milei, president of Argentina, basically came in and said the same thing.
He said what he said. Unbelievable. In classic Trump fashion, the president declared the World Economic Forum, nothing can destroy coal, not the weather, not a bomb. It's a great backup. What this really means is that in Trump's stance on coal isn't new, but let's be honest, it's sitting in the back seat as oil and gas steal the energy spotlight. Yet this fresh endorsement has reminded not just Davos, but the world isn't ready to get rid of coal. President Trump is actually shining a light on grid stability around the world, saying we have to have baseline electricity. You can't throw haphazard renewals at a grid and have it function normally.
Yep.
We laugh about make coal great again. It's actually make the grid stable again.
Yes, I could not agree more with that analysis. And think about the quote that he said. Let's go back to what you first said. So this is the quote out of Davos. Nothing can destroy coal, not weather, not a bomb. It's a great, and here's the key word, backup. It never should be your main supply for a few different reasons, but it's a great backup to ensure baseload energy supply. China knows it. Some people in the United States know it. Europe certainly doesn't know it. But, I completely agree. The Make Coal Great Again movement, I wouldn't say make coal great again. I would say make coal back up again. That would be my phrase.
Well, that's a good way to do it. I think that is a great one. Let's go over to my buddy, Governor Hochul. This woman has the brain power of a potato bud. Albany's new fossil fuels super could hit consumers hard. This woman is absolutely horrific. The second order effects of this law that she signed in just after Christmas will cause hardship on the consumers in New York. The day after Christmas, Governor Hochul signed Bill S-2129 into law, deputizing the Department of Environmental Conservation to fine fossil fuel companies billions of dollars for past greenhouse gas emissions. The fund will go into a climate change slush fund, a super fund that will be used to prepare for, manage, and advertise weather events like floods. This is crap. What does a slush fund mean to you, Michael?
It basically means you're going to have a nice big piggy bank and no one's going to be watching what comes out of it.
Exactly. The scheme sets a target of $75 billion over 25 period. It means it's going to go into the coffers. It's going to be used for all this corruption. It's just stupid. And all it's going to do is, I talked to a bunch of folks that are in the oil and gas business that are fairly high muckety mucks, and they say, we are leaving New York.
Well, oh yeah, because here's what's going to happen. So basically what it is, this Climate Change Superfund is a retroactive levy on firms that are, quote, engaged in trade or business of extracting fossil fuel or refining crude oil during a, quote, covered period starting January 1st, 2000 to December 31st, 2018. And if you exceed, and any firm that exceeded 1 billion metric tons of emission is liable for this, and that sold their products into the Empire State. Notably, large foreign producers like Chinese National Petroleum Company, Russian oil and gas interests, where we know a lot of their oil comes from, are exempt from that. So, I'm glad we're not fining Russia and China, but we're fining the American business. I mean, it's asinine.
It is about as dumb as, like I said, I believe she has a potato bud, has more brain power synapses firing than she does. Let's go to Stargate. Stargate's first data center is underway in Texas. Public filings show how much it will cost to build. 500 billion AI project with Stargate earlier. The first data center is in Albany. I'm going to go take a few pictures of it with Oracle CTO Larry Ellison, and public filings for Abilene matching Ellison's description shed some light on costs. An estimated campus on this is now $1.1 billion. That's a lot of servers.
That's a lot. So what is Stargate? It's a joint venture between Oracle, OpenAI, and SoftBank. If that doesn't make the hair on your neck stand up a little bit, it gets worse because they're pledging to spend $500 billion on AI data centers. There was some real spooky stuff that they were talking about. Specifically, they're being able to create mRNA vaccines in minutes. Yeah, I'll probably be avoiding using those. A little bit more about this project. Basically, it's called Project Ludicrous. It's a 1,000-acre site. Some other things is we've, basically each building is about 500,000 square feet. There are 10 buildings currently being built, and we'll expand to 20 and other locations beyond Abilene. It is interesting that the owner of Project Ludicrous is listed as Abilene DC1 LC, an affiliate data center of startup Crusoe Energy, which we love them. They're ex oil and gas folks who created kind of off-grid database solutions using flared gas in North Dakota. They've since expanded off of there. Super interesting what they're doing. But on one hand, I think, yes, we need to be investing huge amounts of money into this. On the other hand, some of the stuff that's come out that Sam Altman and Larry Ellison have said about the goal of Stargate is absolutely creepy. And
it scares me to death.
With the release of DeepSeek this week, having spent basically in the millions of dollars, I'm talking less than $10 million to train DeepSeek's open source model, which is, yes, it's Chinese based, but on par and even better than ChatGPT. Some estimates have said it's cost over $1.5 billion to develop that algorithm when it comes to the infrastructure and the people to build that. And DeepSeek's now come out with a better AI model for less than $10 million. It makes you wonder, $500 billion. Wonder why all that money?
Exactly. There is close ties to several three-letter agencies that I do not trust. So we will just leave it at that. I am not going any further than that because I don't like those three-letter agencies. Let's go to the Trump freezes Department Energy $500 billion budget. In a sweeping move that halts billions in spending, President Trump's administration frozen the Department of Energy's activities pending a comprehensive review. And I know that Chris Wright is absolutely thrilled out of his mind so that he could stop whoever is shoveling out the money, because Chris Wright is a no-nonsense business guy. And once we can get him in there to say, let him get his hand on that buzzer and go, nope, we're going to have the Chris Wright Gong Show at the DOE. No money for you.
Or what was that? It's that Javier Milei video. Department of Education. Abuela.
Abuela.
Department of Resources. Abuela.
You're closed. Goodbye. So, I really think it is It is absolutely unbelievable that President Trump, has done more in a week being a president than the deep state has done in 50 years. And he has really absolutely turned the corner on ending the deep state.
No, it's very good, and again, it gives friend of the show, Secretary Wright, the ability to come in and determine what's necessary and not. I mean, a lot of this money is going to nuclear waste cleanup, but there is a lot of pork in this budget.
In the words of Dan Bongino, porculus.
Yes, extremely porculous. Well, all right, let's go ahead and jump over to finances, guys. But as always, we got to pay the bills. Thank you for checking us out here on the world's greatest website, .energynewsbeat.com. Stu and the team do a tremendous job making sure that website stays up to speed. Everything you need to know to be the tip of the spear when it comes to the energy and the oil and gas business. You can also hit that description below for all links to the timestamp, links to the articles. The best way to also stay in touch with the show is to go ahead and give us a follow on Substack. The best way to support the show is sign up for a paid subscription there. Stu is going to be dropping multiple paid only articles this week. We've got a new white paper coming out on the critical mineral space. That's a follow up to another paid article we dropped about 2 weeks ago, specifically talking about critical mineral demand. So a lot of great stuff there, guys. Highly recommend going to theenergynewsbeat.substack.com. It's also never too early to start wondering what 2025 income is going to look like. And if you have always wanted to invest in oil and gas, we have great material on how you can learn all the which ways about investing in oil and gas, how you can save huge money on taxes, create another distribution, an income stream for yourself, and most importantly, become Billy Bob Thornton in Landman. I can't stress that last part enough. You can become Billy Bob Thornton from Landman by investing in oil and gas, and your life will be similar to what he experiences in that show. So if you find that at all interesting, highly recommend going to investinoil.energynewsbeat.com. We'll send you all the education materials and put you in contact with the right people. Let's go ahead, Stu, and just look at top line indices on Friday. S&P 500 down about 0.3 of a percentage point. NASDAQ down about 0.5 of a percentage point. 2 and 10-year yields, but basically the same, down 0.6 of a percentage point. Dollar index down 0.6 of a percentage point. Bitcoin at basically dancing around 104,600. So it's basically flat for over this weekend. Obviously, it's open. Crude oil basically flat, up. Basically up 0.05 percentage point, 74.66. Brent oil was up about 0.3 of a percentage point, 78.47. Natural gas peaks above $4, closed at $4.02. That was up about 2 percentage points, or about 8 cents day over day. Our XOP, which is our E&P securities contract, actually got slashed harder than prices, was down 1.3 percentage points, down to 140.74. Pretty interesting. I think a lot of people are again absorbing what's going to be happening with the Trump administration, what type of tariffs they're going to put on. Trump has vowed to put tariffs all on everybody: Mexico, China, Canada, the European Union. We did see crude oil inventories. We can go ahead and put this up on the screen. We did see the EIA crude oil inventory numbers drop. We did see about 1 million barrel draw from the commercial Cushing reserves. We also did see domestic production sit there at about 13.47 million barrels, so about a 4,000 barrel per day drop week over week. So basically flat there. Pretty unbelievable that we're sitting there at about 13.4 million barrels. We did also see rig counts. They're dropped again, Stu. 4 rigs shed now, down to 567. We can go ahead and put that up there. It's pretty unbelievable. I think what's going on. I think the last line of the last article that we covered, which was Trump freezing the Department of Energy bill, talks about the drill baby drill initiative. Again, I think if that's really what both Doug Burgum and Chris Wright, who are going to be chairing the Energy Council for the United States, if really their mission is to drill baby drill, I think it's going to be difficult. And what's great is somebody like Chris Wright understands the dynamics, having been the CEO of a large publicly traded oil field service company, from the standpoint of he's going to understand why operators aren't necessarily going to jump out and keep drilling more. So I think it's fascinating from that standpoint to see. I think other things that we saw was basically everybody was at the World Economic Forum on Friday. I do find it interesting that Trump, while he was there, said he would demand OPEC and Saudi Arabia to bring down prices. But I don't see how they're going to really change their fundamentals. I think it's going to be interesting. Obviously the harsh sanctions that are being put on Russia and Iran are going to drive prices up. So he's hoping that OPEC can raise production to kind of fill that gap. We will see if that remains to be seen if that happens. Lastly, Stu, going back to Stargate, nuclear stocks have been soaring on the AI and Stargate infrastructure announcement. Nuclear stocks have basically in the last 3 months and really over the last week have seen a huge resurgence due to the increased demand both from AI and the data centers that power them. Obviously, the $500 billion infrastructure investment via Stargate plans to and also boosted those stocks. Really the reason why is people I think are looking to nuclear as the solution to long-term cheap baseload energy. I mean, obviously natural gas is a can work, but if you can create nuclear, these small modular nuclear reactors, Stu, these SMRs that Stu wants to throw in everybody's car, and all these people that he's been interviewing, specifically one of our favorite uranium companies, Nano Nuclear Energy, which has been on Stu's podcast. I'm going to bring him in a second to talk a little bit about it, but really these nuclear solutions are seen as the long-term solution for these incredibly huge data centers. They're going to be needed to, quote, power AI. Eventually, we will be replaced by AI. And when I mean we, I mean Stu and I. Eventually, you'll just be seeing AI versions of us doing this podcast, which could be actually sweet, because then
They won't be nearly as funny.
I'm just going to turn up the liberal knob on Stu. So all of a sudden, you'll know it's AI when all of a sudden Stu says, maybe Joe Biden was right about that.
Right.
So, Stu, you're more in touch with the nuclear side of this. What's your thoughts on all these nuclear stocks are taking off? We've seen, like I said, Nano Nuclear, Okla Inc., Vistra Corp, Energy. They're all up over 250% over the last 6 months. What say you about all this?
I love it. But when Nixon actually came through with this, I just was doing a podcast on this, and Nixon created the EPA and the Nuclear Regulatory Agency. We have had nuclear submarines and 80 nuclear ships in the US military on small modular reactors since 1955.
Yeah.
So why can't we let the public do it? Well, the United States owns the patents for those small nuclear reactors and they don't want to let that out. So the regulatory agency that Nixon created stopped the nuclear from proliferating. They wanted to electrify everything back under Nixon, and our regulatory process stopped it. So when you have like JU, I absolutely love Jay from Nano Nuclear Technology. They have great products. I think they're going to be fantastic. But Bill Gates at Davos said, we are going to need natural gas in a big way between now and 5 to 6 years because we cannot build a nuclear fleet or modular
No.
reactors in time. There's only one company that I'm aware of, and that's Copenhagen Atomics, that may be ahead of everybody. I need to follow up with him. I've interviewed that CEO before as well, too. So the stocks that I would be looking at are oil and gas stocks. I would also be looking at companies that build natural gas power plants, because as I do my evaluation on how much power demand is going to be increased versus what we have and what is in the pipe, natural gas is the only way that we can meet the demand in the next 5 years.
Yeah, no, it really is true. And Stu will be making sure you keep covering that, so we can stay up to speed with all that, guys. But I think that's it for the show, Stu. What should people be worried about this upcoming week?
Keep your head on a swivel. And I'll tell you what, I think it's absolutely hilarious that Tom, with the border czar, is launching them all over the place. Colombia said, no, Do not drop your people being exported here. And within 1 hour, President Trump said, you now have a 25% tariff on anything exported out of Colombia, and give it a week. And if it not, it'll be a 50% tariff. They're now taking them back in. So tariffs are going to be allowing us to get rid of a lot of illegal aliens in the United States. So President Trump is on a roll.
He is on a roll, so it'll be fascinating to see how that all plays out. But with that, guys, we're going to let you get out of here. Get back to work. Start your week. We appreciate you checking in with Energy Newsbeat at the beginning of your week. But for Stuart Turley, I'm Michael Tanner. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.